I'm Yosi Teacher G, and I just did the Camino de Santiago from Ferrol.
The Camino de Santiago, or the Way of St. James, is one of the world's most famous pilgrimage routes, attracting hundreds of thousands of walkers every year. Its cultural and historical importance has been recognised by UNESCO, which has designated several Camino routes as World Heritage Sites. This year, we did the Camino Ingles, the English route, and I found it way more difficult than the Portuguese route I did last year by myself. Feel free to watch that video on my page, and while we're at it, let's subscribe. We started in Ferrol. The very first pillar, the starting point, is well labelled on Google Maps and is right next to a bunch of restaurants. We took some pictures and started walking. Later this year, I will be making a whole video about Camino do's and don'ts because I have learnt so much, so stay tuned for that. But just to foreshadow a don't, we very ambitiously planned to do the 5 to 6 day hike in 4 days. The path we ended up walking was like this. Insane, right? Our reasoning? We chose to do the luggage transfer, so I thought it would be easier than the distances I walked last year with a full backpack. Also, we had time constraints and other commitments. Anyway, the first day, although it was long, was beautiful. We had a lot of time to talk and reflect about our upcoming life changes. As per usual, the scenery was gorgeous. Initially in the day, the route, while proving to be longer than what we imagined for that day, was pretty flat and we made it to the 100-kilometre mark. We saw and used many of these potable water fountains and were happy checking out the nice Galician houses. Some neighbours even have special benches like this one to rest. But from then on, it started getting pretty tough. It seemed we were walking up this huge hill for ages, but at the top was this amazing checkpoint. Locals make these little rest points out of the goodness of their hearts, and it honestly restores my faith in humanity a little. They often leave snacks and drinks or little trinkets or even a special stamp for your pilgrim passport, and you can just donate what you can. These little breaks kept us going, and finally, at around 5 PM and after 28.5 kilometers, we arrived at Ponte de Ume to our accommodation where our luggage was waiting for us. We had dinner and went to sleep early because we were totally exhausted. The next day, we woke up and had breakfast and started walking. I swear we walked uphill for the first 45 minutes. It was rough. Just because the Camino Ingles is one of the shorter routes does not mean it's easy. We enjoyed the trail, admired the flowers, and checked out the rest points. This day really tricked us though. It was technically the easiest day in terms of distance, but the hills were so steep they were slowing us down a lot. We had to take short steps up and down continuously. At one point around midday, we reached a seemingly never-ending hill. It was brutal, honestly, but just when we were nearing the top, another checkpoint appeared, like a sign from above. We took some fruit, left a donation, and rested. After that, we kept walking. We saw a lot of horses that day. Finally, we arrived in Betanzos, once again absolutely destroyed. We checked into our accommodation where our luggage was waiting for us, showered, and went to get groceries for dinner and the next day. By this point in the trip, we were seriously reconsidering adding an extra day to the hike, but everything was already booked. so we just accepted that we would have another long day walking and talking. On the third day, we woke up a bit earlier and headed out with the goal of not stopping for 5 kilometers. We achieved that and actually didn't stop for about 7 kilometers, where we saw a nice little breakfast place full of other hikers. Everyone thought we were insane when they found out we were essentially skipping a day. We tried not to let it get to us, but doubt definitely started creeping in on a really rough section of the trail that had no shade, no fountains, and none of those lovely little community run checkpoints. It was uphill, full dirt, and we were running out of energy. Finally, after about 5 kilometers of nothing, we sat down at a bar for what was probably our 30th Aquarius of the trip.
There is no one and nothing. Look.
Soon after, we passed through the town where everyone else was staying, but we continued on the trail. Things started to get a little kooky from there on because we were just exhausted and were taking rests almost every kilometer or two. As we got 2 kilometers out from our accommodation, we realized we had to get off the track to arrive. We were completely exhausted, but finally we arrived to our luggage and room waiting for us and went straight to bed. The next morning, we had to walk 3 kilometers just to get back on the trail, and when we finally saw that first arrow, it was right next to a bar with all of these other hikers. We stopped for breakfast and a chat and then continued walking. When we saw the first pillar of the day, we were determined. We walked and talked for hours, enjoying the scenery and each other's company until we reached Sigüenza. That is the usual stopping point for day 4, but we had 15 kilometers to go. On the Camino, it's totally normal to have moments where you think, I can't do this, I can't walk anymore. It really is a physical challenge. I don't have any videos of this specific part of the trail because we were struggling, but we had been on a 5 kilometer stretch with no shade, no fountains to refill our water. It was about 3 p.m, so the sun was getting vicious and we were getting down to the last few gulps of water. It had been a challenging hike physically since day 1, but this was the first time that I genuinely started to think we were in danger and that we were at serious risk of heat stroke. We agreed that if we didn't see any rest point in 5 minutes, we would have to start knocking on doors for water. Just as we were thinking of stopping, we rounded the corner and saw a tiny little fountain. I literally dropped a pin on this fountain because it absolutely saved us. I have never been so happy to see a fountain in my life. We drenched ourselves in water and relaxed on a bench for about 20 minutes. It was glorious. From there, we were rejuvenated enough to keep going for the remaining 10 kilometers. We stopped every 1.5 to 2 kilometers because at this point we were just exhausted, but we knew we would arrive. We even passed through the enchanted forest. Finally, we arrived at the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela at about 6:30 p.m. We walked to the 0 point, hugged, and then found a nice viewing point to just crash out with exhaustion. It was a huge achievement and a very special moment for us. Later, we found the strength to once again walk to our hotel and rest. The next day, we had the entire day to explore Santiago de Compostela. We collected our certificates, bought some souvenirs, and saw the rest of our hiker friends who had just arrived that morning. Finally, we visited the cathedral where St. James is buried. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please see the description for different recommendations and stay tuned because later this year I'm going to put out a video of like my hot takes or do's and don'ts of the Camino because each time I do it, I get better and I learn new things. But until next time, you know what to do.